Hi everyone, I'm here with Nina Twombly, and she is a graduate of Thriving Healers who has a successful healing practice now in Santa Fe, New Mexico, working one-on-one and with groups. And today she's here to share a little bit about her experience growing her healing practice and how Thriving Healers supported her in doing so. Thank you so much, Nina, for taking the time and for spending a little time today sharing your journey with us.
Thanks, Julie. Always good to have an excuse to hang out with you.
Totally. I love to have this time together. um, okay, so let's start by just sharing a little bit. If you think back to before you started Thriving Healers, where were you in your healing work and what were you frustrated with? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, so before Thriving Healers, I had kind of a come and go sort of business where I didn't feel really confident about how many people would be coming each week. It varied quite a bit. I was charging by the hour. I was having a lot of frustration around commitment issues with clients, feeling like I was giving, a lot to the work, and certain people would kind of be flaky, cancel last minute. I didn't have really good policies set up to know how to handle that kind of thing. And I would get frustrated by it because I felt very, committed to their healing, but wasn't necessarily feeling that reciprocated in each case. I had done another business building program for about a year prior to Thriving Healers that I felt helped me some, but it just didn't really make a big difference. So I was looking for the bigger difference. Yeah.
Wow. And so you weren't doing it, you were doing it kind of part-time as clients came sporadically.
Yeah, part-time, always, having other income to support myself.
Got it.
And I was building, but it was going a little slower than I was really happy with.
Yeah. And what was the moment, or what was moving in you that you knew you wanted to try Thriving Healers? Like what was part of those decision-making factors for you?
So I knew Jonathan from the Brennan school and always really respected him, worked with him one-on-one. So when I saw him pairing up with you, I was like, who's this Julie? I got to check her out. If she's hanging out with Jonathan, she must be really cool. And so I went to your intro, webinar, and I didn't really think I was going to join necessarily, but I was just curious. And then we did some one-on-one. You and actually it was 2-on-1. You and Jonathan both coached me a little bit at the end of that call. And I just felt, the energy between you two and kind of the feeling that it was going to move me forward. You gave me just enough to go, okay, these guys, it's a power duo. I want to hang out with them. So yeah, that was I tend to sort of make decisions intuitively. And after that I was like, okay, this is the next step for me.
Cool. Yeah. So fun. And when you were in Thriving Healers, what worked about it for you? What helped you make the shifts that you've made in your business?
Well, I think a lot of things work about it. Your pieces about what it actually takes to run the business side of a healing practice, that was like a big blank spot for me. I didn't really have a lot of good tools in terms of structuring how to price things. It was really important. Moving out of one-on-one, or sorry, not one-on-one, but 1 hour to packages was something I just really needed to embrace, because it just took out a lot of the issues I'd been having around client commitment. And I think what really works also is the community, just the feeling of, having people to touch ideas off of, and the Facebook group is really helpful. I really like the accountability buddies too. Having another peer to hang out, talk with once a week. So, and then the other piece that the previous program I did was missing was the supervision. So the man who I studied with prior was really good with business, but he couldn't quite tune in with the places in me that weren't able to embrace what he was offering. The parts of me that were in resistance or worthiness issues, those didn't really get addressed. So I do think the supervision was a huge component of, just kind of getting the inner to match the outer for me. So it's the whole package, I think, of Thriving Healers. It really works. It kind of checks all the boxes. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
It's the whole picture.
Yay.
Nothing missing, really.
Yeah. What did you have to do? Like, what did you have to do to get it to work for you? Like, how did you have to show up for the program?
I would say I had to, be willing to implement things that were uncomfortable and take those kinds of risks to do things like webinars. And I mean, I did have to take your advice.
Crazy.
push those edges. I had to be willing to move people to a different price point. And yeah, I just had to keep working my edge over and over and kind of meeting the challenges. And I also took a lot of time when things wouldn't move that much, and I would just work on my inner pieces. And that was good too. It was kind of like making a big shift and then stabilizing and then making another shift and then stabilizing was kind of how I showed up for it. I think you kind of have to know your own pace, and that's my pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little bit of push and then some rest or some integration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's perfect to do it in that organic, inner listening way.
Yes. It's always been my way. Can't seem to do another way. So
I love that you honored yourself in that way in the program.
Yeah. And you were really supportive of me around that when I was pushing too hard and stressing myself out, and you were able to reflect. Maybe it's time to take a break. So I appreciated that a lot too.
What were there specific problems in your healing practice that have been resolved as a result of Thriving Healers? Like, is there anything that was a problem before that just isn't now for you?
Yeah, a few things. Client commitment is very different now that I ask for them to really ante in and sign up for longer programs. So those kind of last minute cancellations and flaky qualities in clients don't happen as much. Or if they do, there's kind of a deeper conversation that I know how to have with them about commitment now. Financially, there's a big change in that it was very hard to guess what I was going to make in a month. And now I have a lot of consistency with finance and just a lot more money in general. More abundance, I would also say there's a big inner change in that I have a lot more assuredness, because for me, when clients would not commit, I would take it personally, and think that maybe there was something I wasn't doing right. So reframing that to looking at how to structure your business so that it supports clients to actually commit. And that really has changed the inner feeling approaching my work. I feel more substantial and established, and good, word of mouth is really strong because people have gone through these 6-month programs and gotten a lot of results. So it's just it's easier to convey to people what the value is now.
You might have just said this, but I hear that you changed the business model to programs. And what are the results you're seeing with your clients now versus when you were doing an hourly sessions by session? Yeah,
what I would notice in the one-off sessions is that, each reschedule would be based on the results of that session. So if the person felt like, oh, that was a really happy session and I got something really meaningful, then they would be more likely to book. Whereas if we hit like a deeper issue or just there was a feeling that something didn't move in the session, some frustration, they would be more likely to evaluate that as this isn't working. So they wouldn't come back. So now there's an arc, a healing arc. So those sessions where it just feels heavier, more challenging, doesn't easily flow. It's just a part of the whole package rather than them being able to take that as, this is a stopping point because often those are just the resistance points or the deeper challenge points, and it's valuable to keep moving through them. But I found that people didn't necessarily understand that themselves. And so giving them the framework of the package is like, then that type of thing, I have a language to convey what that is versus having to re-enroll them every week.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So then at the end of one of those packages, are you seeing that they've gotten further in their healing?
I would say most of the time there's a lot more significant change. There were always some people in my previously who knew how to keep engaging on their own, and they would have great results. But for the people who are not as familiar with the work, if they can enter this type of program, they stay with it. They get way deeper insights. They go through those arcs and challenges, but come out further than if the ball is always in their court, I guess. Mm-hmm. That's how I would say that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I do notice deeper shifts and more visible results. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That's such a good feeling that you shifted your model, but it's actually like the ripple effect, of like how it's impacting your clients.
Yeah. And I do notice that I do have a couple people who I've kept on they decide when to book, and there is a difference, I just haven't moved every single person over. So some of my way, way old, long-standing clients who still choose their own schedule, I notice that, if they hit like resistance, then maybe they'll be like, I'm not going to come till next month, or, there's just certain issues that the change in business model does alleviate. Mm-hmm. Or, there were always people who I felt like needed to come in much more frequently than they did. And they would come like every 6 weeks and not see a lot of shifts. And I would be able to recommend they come more frequently, but it wasn't structured that way. Okay. So it just takes a lot of the guesswork out.
Awesome. What would you recommend like if someone's watching this and they're considering getting support to grow their healing practice, would you recommend Thriving Healers as a support system for them, and why?
I would recommend it to those who are really ready to shift things. I do think it's a deep commitment, so I would say I would recommend it to people who really want a big shift and are willing to put in some work. Why? Because I just think there's a lot of different programs out there, but this one has all the components that you're going to need. It has the supervision, which is that working through the inner blocks. It has great business model, and it's got Julie and Jonathan, who just wonderful, amazing humans to spend time with. So for me, there's no comparison. Mm. So yes, definitely would recommend you guys.
Thank you, Nina. What of the biggest, like, where is your healing work now compared to where it was when you started Thriving Healers? What's different? What are the results?
I would say my work it's more dynamic. It's stronger. I I would say I hold myself in a more professional way and kind of have the heavyweight feeling in my practice, in terms of there's just more professionalism. It's more substantial and established feeling. And I think the work is stronger for sure. I have also found, through changing my business model, found ways to incorporate all the different kind of offerings that I have, so that it's more comprehensive work, I would say. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely financially way ahead of where it was also.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to share with anybody who's tuning in and hearing about your journey?
I would just say, if you're kind of at a point where you don't feel good about where your practice is, yet you know you are a healer and you have the gift, this is the program to take you to where your outer experience will match what you inwardly feel to be real for you. And so if you're frustrated, if you're, if you've just can't figure out why it's not clicking, this would be the program for you.
Cool.
That would be my thought.
Thank you so much. It's been so fun to watch you get to the point where it's really working for you. And you got a full practice, as full as you want it. And you're feeling so confident in your work. It's awesome, because you're a rock star.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really, it's hard, I think, to know your gift and to not feel that it's coming out fully, or that it's not being supported financially fully. So it has really resolved a deep problem that I had in my life for a number of years. So yeah, I'm super grateful to you. And it's been awesome.
Thank you, Nina.
Exceeded my expectations.
Oh, good. Awesome.
I always think no one's going to be able to help me with this, but it's not true.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Yeah. Because for me, one of the things that's so rewarding is, like, I don't want any healer that's as amazing as you not to have the space and the platform and the ability to, like, take it forward when it's possible,
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, awesome. I think
Thank
that's
you.
it. Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
I'll stop the recording.